back to the channel. We are going to be continuing our deep dive into the top prospects in the 2020 draft. If you missed my earlier take on the top 10 guards in this draft, go watch it. It really adds more value to just how separate these tough next 5 guys are in relation to the other people. You're doing yourself a disfavor by not go viewing that video. And let's just hop right into it. At number 5, we have Tyrell Terry, freshman guard at Stanford. He has the potential to be a game-changing shooter who may develop a limitless range, but players his size historically have had very limited potential. Not everyone is a Steph Curry. The more realistic comparisons to him is Mark Price, CJ McCollum, and Jason Terry. He's shown that he's an elite shooter with quick, high release. He can run off of screens and find his balance mid-air. He's shooting 48% on catch and shoot threes. He can also unload off the dribble jumpers from deep behind the arc, which he's shooting 32% from. He has very advanced off-ball movement. He manipulates defenders with pivots and fakes to get himself open. The Curry family would be proud of his tendency to relocate for corner threes after giving up the ball. He's a very crafty interior finisher with an expansive layup package. He has a keen sense for how to contort his body on layup attempts and the soft touch to score from awkward angles or against contact. This will be key for any prospect trying to up their game in the NBA. He makes a huge impact already in the pick and roll. Despite his size, he has the burst to turn the corner and generally makes smart decisions when deciding whether to shoot or pass. He's a solid passer who can make fundamental plays. Plus, the more advanced ones like to whip 3-point shooters and wrap rounds to rolling bigs. He's a competitive defender who will take charge and dive for loose balls. On switches, he'll try to battle against bigger players. A lot of advanced skills in the college game with his elite shooting, his pick and roll ability, and his shot selection overall. And he has that competitive edge not to back down even when he's switched on to a defender a couple inches taller. Though there are some drawbacks to his game. The next step for him to get to that elite level that he has the potential of is developing a step back and a side dribble 3. At this stage, the far majority of his dribble jumper 3s are pull-ups. And that's the step that Donovan Mitchell took. That's the step that Jamal Murray took this postseason and last postseason that made them elite scorers. When he takes wild shots, which were often necessary at Stanford, his mechanics often fell apart. He kicks his legs out and lands wide instead of releasing with sound fundamentals. He also needs to improve his offhand to score better around the rim against length and contact. Though he is okay contorting his body, it's always to the right side. He needs to strengthen up his left hand for both ball handling and finishing at the rim. He picks up his dribble too often on drives to the rim. He should keep it alive and learn how to circle through the lane or look for the open man. He goes through motions as time as a playmaker. He needs to put more power and zip on the ball. And obviously, though he has tremendous upside, at the end of the day, his size is a major detriment. He's an undersized point guards tend to get targeted on defense no matter how hard they compete. And at 160 pounds, he'll have a huge target on his relatively small back. Though we've seen players like Trae Young really handle this somewhat well. But will he have that same offensive firepower that Trae Young has shown in the NBA? That's the question. At number 4, we have Tyreese Haliburton, a genius playmaker who can be a major building block of a contending team. Iowa State sophomore. He has shades of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Sam Cassell. When he plays, he's always in control. He lacks lightning speed over explosiveness, but he uses subtle gear changes to throw defenders off balance, create room, and then strike. Very much like Luka Doncic in this respect. He takes long strides on drives to the rim and displays good timing when gathering his dribble before using his length to score at the rim. He's a very creative player with extraordinary vision and ambidextrous handles to deliver passes at all angles. He manipulates defenders with his eyes and dribbles in the pick and roll. He has pinpoint accuracy on passes to rollers and shooters. He's very advanced in the passing department. He's a very good spot-up shooter with deep NBA range, despite his odd form. And overall, he's a coach's dream. He does all the little things on the court, from smart, timely defensive rotations to making rapid decisions to keep the offense flowing. His minuses. It includes his lack of athleticism and his burst, which sometimes limits his upside as a primary shot creator. He generally avoids contact at the rim, which forces him to settle for tough layups or low percentage floaters. He's made plenty of progress off the dribble as a sophomore, but he still didn't shoot as well as you would expect, and his stiff form raises some concern. And on man-to-man defense, he stands too much in an upright stance, and he moves laterally on his heels instead of his feet. He also takes poor angles fighting around screens. We have arrived to our top 3. Now with this top 3, I can see a lot of switching, right? At the end of the day, I valued potential upside a lot. But once again, I can see any of these next 3 players interchangeable, and they all have a really good future in the NBA. So let's get right into it. Number 3, we have Anthony Edwards. This man is a bruising scorer who can create space with his dribble and make tough shots from all over the court. But his decision making leaves much to be desired, man. Looks like a bigger Victor Oladipo, Eric Gordon, and Dion Waiters. His pluses. He's powerful driving to the rim. When he initiates contact, defenders bounce off of him. He finishes with athleticism and displays soft touch with either hand. He's a dynamic shot maker who can make shots off the dribble. He fluidly transitions from complex dribbles, spins, and hesitations into pull-ups, step-backs, and sidesteps. He's a freight train in transition. Though his shot selection was iffy at Georgia, wide open spacing in the NBA could lead to far more shots at the rim. A very, very solid passer. Doesn't possess elite court vision and tends to react rather than create opportunities for teammates, but he can execute basic reads to shooters and cutters. And he has the potential to be a super versatile defender thanks to his rare blend of size, strength, and agility. If he lives up to that potential, you can see this guy guarding 1 through 3. He's not a pure shooter. He settles for jumpers even against mismatches, which is especially frustrating for a player with his size and strength. He's best suited to be in a multiple ball handler system next to a pass first player because of his underwhelming playmaking instincts. And at Georgia, he gave inconsistent effort. At times he plays hard by cutting, running up the floor, crashing the boards, but then he'll disappear. Teams will do extensive background research on him to gauge his overall mentality. Despite his athleticism, he struggles as an off-ball defender, lacking focus and often losing track of his man. Fundamentals and effort must improve while defending on ball. He shows some flashes of lockdown defense, but they are marred by far too many moments of apathy. At 2, we have Killian Hayes, guard from France, ULM France. He's a dynamic left-handed shot maker who's made rapid progress at the age of 18, though he's still very raw in some of the other technical areas. He has shades of D-Lo and Manu Ginobili. Playmaking is his best skill. He can whip passes off the dribble with accuracy and hit cutters or rollers with precision. He's a very creative pick and roll facilitator. Despite his weak right hand, he gets where he wants and he knows how to manipulate defenders to create passing angles and openings to score. He's a very fluid ball handler with size to out-muscle smaller guards. He has excellent touch with his left hand when he goes to finish difficult floaters and runners, often initiating contact. Displays major potential as an off-the-dribble three-point shooter with his Harden-esque moves, and you know I love Harden if you watch this channel. He added a step back and a sidestep three to his arsenal and uses hesitation to get into pull-ups. These are very advanced techniques you need to be an elite scorer as a guard in this NBA. His catch and shoot shooting numbers are a bit concerning, but he has smooth form, a soft touch inside, and a free throw percentage over 80%, all of which suggests he will probably figure it out. He's tall with a strong frame and long arms, making him a projectably versatile defender against guard and wings. He's an active off-ball menace who can develop into a disruptive defensive helper. Some minuses though. He's very left-hand dominant. He might as well tie his right hand behind his back considering how little he uses it. There are some passes he can't make since he relies on his left hand so much. He's a limited athlete who lacks burst and bounce. This hinders his finishing ability, especially since he rarely uses his right hand. He lacks an advanced handle, picks up his dribble far too often. This gets him into a lot of trouble. Though he is shifty, but he doesn't create a ton of separation and doesn't string together advanced moves to break down defense with his handle. He experiences laps on the defensive ends, missing rotations and falling out a ton of his on-ball stance. He needs to be more vocal as a lead guard to take better command of the team. At one, the guy with the most upside in this guard draft class, man. LaMelo Ball from Australia, that Hawks team, man. He passes like he's on the Harlem Globetrotters, and it somehow works. He needs to dramatically improve his scoring efficiency, but he has the upside to become one of the NBA's best playmakers. He has shades of white chocolate, Lonzo Ball, and Sean Livingston. He's an ambidextrous passer with pinpoint accuracy and omnidirectional vision. He sees everything on the court, creating opportunities for teammates that most players simply don't see or can't pull off, thanks to his innate ability to manipulate defenders. He's an excellent ball handler who uses hesitations to put defenders on skates. He uses advanced moves, but always remains in control, dictating the pace like a drummer would a song's tempo. He has elite touch, though he attempts too many floaters and shies away from contact. His ability to score creatively with either hand suggests he could develop into a finisher at the rim. He's an attentive off-ball player who cuts and adjusts the space well behind the arc. And at 6'7", he's a great rebound for his position. Like his older brother Lonzo, his instincts pop up here when he's tracking down boards. And he's a versatile defender, quick laterally and quite large for a point guard. He has the size to comfortably switch onto wings. Some minuses. As great as Ball is a passer, he can't be classified as a great playmaker yet because of his decision making. He jacks up poor shots early in the shot clock and settles far too often rather than attacking the rim. He has poor shooting mechanics, no consistency with his form other than his low release. As a solid free throw shooter with a good touch on floaters, he has an obvious upside, but his form, much like his brother's, needs to be overhauled. He rarely initiates contacts and avoids it around the rim. He doesn't stay in his defensive stance and often keeps his hands down when closing out. And he lacks defensive discipline. He defaults to switching instead of fighting over screens, and he falls out of position off ball when chasing steals. We have reached the end of this video. As I said before, those top 3 prospects are very interchangeable, but all these 10 guards have a tremendous upside. So make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I'm going to be putting out top 10 wings, top 10 bigs, and hopefully if they get enough traction, I'll go to a big board, an overall big board, regardless of position, and overall mock draft. You do not want to miss out. Peace, stay safe, and until next time.